Bonjour la toute la classe. Today, we're going to talk about Choo. Well, feel free to correct my pronunciation below if you even know what I said. Translators, interpreters, ESL students, and others who wish to learn English American style. Welcome to class today, and today we're going to talk about Choo, right? So Choo is a word that doesn't exist in the way that I'm saying it, but it exists in the way that I'm saying it. What the heck did he just say? Mr. Rumsey, you're killing us, right? So when I say about you, that's because in American English, we will often take words that end with a T and turn them in when we say, and then they're prefaced. They're right in front of the word you. And so we're going to combine them together. So when I say talk about you, what you don't hear in that sentence is the T in the about, right? There's no T, A-B-O-U-T, about you, right? Because if I were going to say, today we're going to talk about you, then I would need to pronounce that T, and then I would need to have a little space between that T and the Y in the U. Today we're going to talk about you. There are some people who do pronounce things, words and terms that way. It does happen. I have to say, there was a TV show years and years ago where I think it originated somewhere in the Great Britain, and the show was called The Weakest Link, and that lady used to pronounce every syllable and every sound. So she would say, today we are going to talk about you. She would not say talk about you. But whatever. We live in America, or if you're coming here or you want to study English American style, then it is very common for us to run that T in front of the Y-O-U and make the sound ch or chew. Well, actually, the ch sound would come up instead of the T, and I know it's killing you. And so you're pronouncing chew, like C-H-E-W, right? If you're chewing on food, or chew like a train goes, choo choo, right? Chew. Is that right? Is that the chews? It's not C-H-E-W. It's not C-H-O-O. It's not even C-H-U, right? Because you would never spell about you. So students, when you're writing papers, because this is your thing, right? You hear, and actually this sidetracks me. So I'm going to go, right? You know that many of you have heard an 80s song because they play 80s music forever. And the song goes, don't you forget about me. And so when your teachers, so this is both true of in the United States when you're telling your students to learn other languages and you say listen to music in the other languages. So those of you who are in other countries and you're trying to learn English American style, when your teachers have you listen to music, then sometimes the pronunciations in songs are not exactly how we would really necessarily say them. Sometimes they are. And then sometimes the words or the phrases that are used in songs and music and lyric are not something we would really say. So by the way, if you have questions about phrases in lyrics, feel free to put those below because I might address some of that as well. But in this case, don't you forget about me. That's a perfect example of how English American style, we would say don't you, right? Because if you think about that T, we could say don't you forget about me, but we don't. Don't you forget, right? Don't you. We're not saying don't chew, right? With your mouth, chew. Don't chew your cud. Don't chew. No, we are saying don't you forget, right? But we pronounce it don't you. Right? So don't you. Oh, there was another song where they do don't ya. Oh, that's a little different. Don't you or don't ya. CHA would be another way to say it because it's that T in front, and then it's the U, but we're abbreviating the U to be YA, ya, and that also means you, don't ya? And there's a song, it was a funny song, don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Something like that. So the pronunciation sounds like a CH sound, don't you? Wouldn't you like to go? That kind of sound, the CH sound, the ch sound, ch, don't ya, won't ya, couldn't ya, right? And those tend to be with words. In this case, they're at the moment the words that I'm using are all contractions, and they all end with that T, and the next word is the YOU, the U. But students, when you're writing your paper, so those of you who are taking classes from American universities, you would never write don't ya, won't ya, wouldn't ya, couldn't ya. You're going to do it as the whatever the contraction word is, if you're even going to use a contractions. Be careful depending on the subject matter on whether or not you should even use contractions. So you might not want to go DON''T-YOU. But if that's what you're going to do, don't you forget, right? Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Yeah, don't you and don't ya. Don't you, don't ya. So I wonder if the chu and the cha is regional. So if you're from somewhere in the United States or somewhere out of the country and you speak sort of American style, tell me where you're from and let me know if it tends to be don't ya or don't you. Don't you, don't ya. Yeah, interesting. So I want to know, but remember in your papers, please don't write a CH sound. Don't write the ch sound. Ch, ch, ch. No, it is not that. It's going to be the DON''T space YOU, right? WON''T space YOU. Don't you, won't you, wouldn't you, couldn't you, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to your friends and you say, don't you want to help me? Right? Because what that would be, that question, don't you want to help me? Would be, I need help with my English and I think you talk English good. Oh, your English teachers are going to kill me for that one. You talk English good and don't you want to help me with my English? All right, so keep that in mind. Pronunciation, we often pronounce the ch sound with the T in front of a word, with the T at the end of a word, and then the next word is you. So keep that in mind. We often make the ch sound, don't ya, won't ya. But please don't write a CH in your paper, right? You wouldn't do a DON''T CHOU or CHEW or even CHU. You're going to separate those words. So don't ya, won't ya equates to don't you, won't you, that kind of thing. All right? So if you have other questions about pronunciations of words or phrases, meanings of words or phrases, if they come from TV, if they come from music, because a lot of you are told, listen to music, and sometimes music is going to help you, and sometimes it ain't, then leave comments below and ask the questions, and maybe I'll address them in an upcoming video. And with that said, interpreters, translators, ESL students, and others who are working on your English American style, class dismissed.